Hello there, this is Brian, Pepper, and Maverick, and welcome to another outdoor adventure. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to our next episode of Exploring Cape Cod. In this episode, we are picking up from where we were before, driving all throughout Cape Cod, and now we are visiting Hyannis before taking a ferry over to Nantucket Island. After going through the ferry, we will do a quick little exploration that night and then finish it up from there. So before we get started, let's go ahead and click like and subscribe for future content if you haven't already. Definitely helps out the channel. So we are starting out in Hyannis, and from everything I've read, no trip is complete to Hyannis unless you visit the JFK Museum. So that is exactly what we did here. And much to our surprise, actually the entrance was free the day we came, which again was toward the end of March. There was one exhibit that was closed, but all the main exhibits were open. So we got some time to spend looking at all the different articles and artifacts collected. So as you can see here, the museum starts out with the timeline. It talks about the Kennedy family tree, of which there are so many triumphs and obviously so many tragedies as well. And not just the two brothers, obviously too, but throughout their whole family history. It's quite a bit to see. So overall, like I said, the museum itself it's a bit small, but there actually is quite a bit in here, which kind of surprised us. So I felt the focus, for the most part, obviously was on the political part, though they did touch on some of the more personal moments. It would have been nicer to see, more of a behind-the-scenes narrative involving the Kennedys, as opposed to, well, honestly, what you could probably look up in the encyclopedia or your traditional YouTube video. But overall, I have to say that visiting this museum was definitely worth it, even if you had to pay for admission. We are finishing up here. Then the first part, as I mentioned, is the timeline. You start out, and it just basically goes through the entire Kennedy saga. Then later, as you can see here, we start getting into Robert Kennedy and Jack Kennedy's areas more specifically. There was one other exhibit that was closed at the time. It probably is opening. It's probably open right now at the time of this recording, at least the voiceover here. But like I said, overall, definitely recommend it. I think Pepper and I had a fantastic time here. It was a great way to start out our day in Hyannis. Now, in terms of budgeting the amount of time here, I would say no more than an hour, maybe an hour and a half at the most. Obviously, you want to adjust that depending on the time of year, the popularity, and if there's a line to get in. But it's nice. As we head out here, too, you can see it's a really small but nice little fairgrounds out here, which I imagine this is probably overflown with people waiting to get in sometimes during the summer months when it's really popular. And then this leads out to a bunch of different shops up along the main strip here in Hyannis. And we decided to go ahead and take a quick walk looking for different things to get in trouble with, I guess. So, of course, we have to take our souvenir photo of the Presidential Museum as well, too. So, Hyannis surprised us a little bit. Maybe it's cleaner during the summer months, but it actually seemed, I don't want to say run down, but it seemed a bit aged. Obviously, a lot of the shops were closed or with limited hours, it being the off-season and all. We did find this one fun little shop downtown that actually was a combination of a novelty store, a candy shop, and I guess it's basically just a souvenir shop. But we had a fun time just going through, playing with everything in here, and just checking things out. Pepper just loves going crazy, playing with all these little odd things. And I have to admit, I do as well. I guess we're your typical American consumers. We see something interesting, it's like, oh, we have to have it. And then we have to talk ourselves out of it. I usually get a cap pretty much everywhere I go. And I ended up picking up this Cape Cod cap to take with me, which came with a shirt. It's kind of my thing. I think I must have at least 30 different baseball caps from all, well, not all, but a lot of the different places that I have visited over the years. There's Pepper just amusing me, holding my cap for me. So after finishing up here, we decided to start getting ready to head out to catch our ferry over to Nantucket. Now, there are a number of different ways you can get to Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard. You can take a plane, you can take a really fast 1-hour ship, or you can take the Steamship Authority ship, which I think took about 2 hours to go out there. It's actually much further out than we anticipated. But I have to say, you know what? It was a really pleasurable way to go. We decided to leave our car behind and not bring it with us. We didn't see a reason to bring it over, though if I had to do it again, I might bring it with us. Overall, I think it runs about $300 and some bucks to bring your car. I think it was only about $18 per person just to go over ourselves. And it actually was a really fun experience just sitting there and enjoying the trip. So after the 2 hours, we obviously started packing everything up and getting ready to head out to Nantucket. One thing to keep note, though, definitely bring stuff to keep yourself occupied. There's no TVs or anything running, so entertainment is pretty much up to just you. Now, when you arrive via the Steamship Authority boat, you're going to be dropped off right in downtown Nantucket. Nantucket, for the most part, is basically one town. There are some smaller towns on the outskirts. There's the airport and everything, but pretty much the majority of stuff is going to be right here as soon as you walk out. So this is the dock strip here as we're walking up toward our place that we're staying. And I tell you, I came across one of my favorite places to eat here. I think we went there literally every breakfast. It was a place called Stubby's. And it had the most amazing breakfast sandwiches. Even better, the atmosphere was fantastic. We just got to sit there. We listened to stories from locals. And just watched, people watched a lot of our time away. And there's a pizza shop here, which was not open, I think, when we passed by. There's a deli. There's a coffee shop. I think, there's Stubby's right there. And I think actually Stubby's owns both this location and also the coffee shop, which we had just previously passed. Up here on the corner, this gray building, this is a really nice souvenir shop. But it's not your typical tourist trap one. There's a lot of tourist trappy stuff in there. But there's actually, the guys who run it actually have a really fun vibe going. They're really down to earth and they'll answer any questions you have. I didn't feel like I was just walking into a dime a dozen shop like you see in a lot of scenic or tourist-based towns. Right on the right here is the local whale museum. We do a walkthrough, which will come up in our next episode, but I can't emphasize this enough. We love that whale museum. If it was up to me, we probably would have gone every single day going through that whale museum, but I think once through was enough for Pepper. And then up here on the left is their municipal building. There are some cafes up here for the most part. One thing we did not realize is if we had turned left here and went down about a block, there is a food store right down that street right there. So if you are staying in the very downtown like we are, there is a small food store. Just keep in mind, as you'll see later, everything in this town is expensive. From housing to food, you name it. Gosh, even our breakfast sandwiches were pretty scary as far as prices go. And who knows what they even are now with inflation and everything else. So
we're gonna cross.
Now, if you are looking to acquire transportation, there are a number of different options. There is a bicycle company that will rent you a bicycle for the day or week. If you come during the season, they also have scooters available. Obviously, in the off season, they did not have scooters. Also, we had passed it. If you turned right before the Whaling Museum, down there's a nice rental car, which later in the week we rented a BMW i3 from. We had quite a bit of fun in that. The place we stayed is right up here on the left, right in the downtown, and pretty awesome. Now, a lot of the buildings down here actually have been redone, from what I understand. There were some fires and stuff which took out a lot of the older houses, and they've been rebuilt. But overall, this is such a beautiful island to visit. And you know what I really liked about this too is that it was very down to earth for the most part. While there's a lot of tourist stuff all throughout, you're not overwhelmed with it like you are in a lot of traditional areas like Cape May and Ocean City and all those different areas. So.
Watch out.
Now, we ended up staying at the Chestnut House. It's this lovely old Nantucket home located right in the downtown. And it really had a lot of easy access all throughout. It was actually really reasonably priced, given everything. We did come in the off season, so we got a pretty good deal. It's run by an aunt and her nephew, Ian, who greeted us when we walked in. And it is, can't emphasize enough how clean and how nice this home is. We found out little things too as we came through. All the rugs that are laid down here were, I believe, actually made by his aunt's father, who handmade a lot of the floor rugs throughout this place. I kind of went back and forth on where we were going to stay, and we ultimately decided to try just like a local house here, and we were really glad we did. It was, I can't emphasize enough how wonderful an experience it is. Just keep in mind, though, that if you are coming from out of state, there is a bit of a tax here on any type of hotel. I think it's close to 12% in Massachusetts, so just bear that in mind, which adds a little bit to it. But overall, I can't emphasize enough.
Honey, Connect 4, Twister, Trivial Pursuit.
Oh, look at that Scrabble.
Huh?
I got Scrabble too.
And they got Barrel of Monkeys.
Oh, we're good.
See? Oh, they have it with the tile lock and everything. And there's a Scrabble dictionary.
So after settling in, we decided to head out and start exploring Nantucket on our own. Of course, our first order of business was just taking a walk and trying to find one of the two local grocery stores. The two located on the island are both Shaw's, which is a pretty popular chain throughout New England. So we headed out on our little journey here. So we were on Chestnut Street, so we went on to Center Street here, which takes you down to their main thoroughfare. And then from here, we did some quick searching, and we decided to head down Orange Street. Orange Street takes you, if you follow this will eventually take you to their grocery store. And there's actually a lot of neat houses to see on the way here, too. It's a nice walk. There were some awesome vehicles, as you can see there. That is an old Land Rover Discovery, an old Land Rover Defender, and that was another one back there as well, too. So you don't see those very often in the U.S. We started making our way further down Orange Street. There's a Cumberland Farms up here at the intersection ahead, which, if you're looking for a quick stop, Cumberland Farms is basically a local convenience store. We made a right here, and we found this nice little pizza place for dinner called Sophie T's Pizza.
Okay.
So with our stomachs full of pizza, we took our leftovers and headed over to the grocery store, which is right down the way from here. The pizza was okay. I mean, there's nothing special. I mean, I come from the Philadelphia area, so we have our own variant of the New York style pizza, which is pretty good. But there are actually, like I mentioned, there are 2 Shawls on the island. This is the larger of the 2, and this is a very nice, very modern grocery store. So we went through, picked up our supplies. I believe there actually is a bus that runs to here back and forth from the downtown as well, though we ended up just walking it. But as you go along, if you notice, prices in this store are through the roof. Now, granted, it does make sense. You know, they had to take all these items and put them on a truck, and then the truck has to take the 2-hour ferry across the waterway to get here. But needless to say, I think they also prey on the monopoly aspect a little bit. I mean, that being said, everything in this island is expensive. Like later in the week, we were checking out property values, and I think the minimum type of house that you could buy on here starts at $2 million. Oh, and when I saw that a 12-pack of Diet Coke was $10, I was like, are you kidding me? But apparently that's their normal price for these. So, yeah. Anyway, overall, we finished up, got our supplies, and started heading back. So I guess a basic lesson learned here is if you are going to go to Nantucket and you do decide to drive over, make sure you bring all your groceries and supplies with you. You'll definitely save yourself some money doing that, especially if you have a place to store them as well too. We ended up walking back in the evening. It was a nice, beautiful walk through the downtown back to the Chestnut House. And overall, we had a really nice day on our first half day going through Nantucket. And, you know, if you enjoyed this video, please click like and subscribe for future content. It really does help out the channel. We are going to continue this series through our different adventures and all the different things that we saw as we went through Nantucket, as well as give some tips if you decided to visit it for yourself. If you do have any comments, please leave them in the comment section below. Help others out, not just for feedback for us as well too. And until we see you, get out there and make your own great outdoor adventures. And as always, take care.